these two machines came up in a buy it now auction. These two machines here, an Astro City and a Sega Blast. On the eBay ad, it says, non-working cabinets contain wiring harness, monitor, etc. No game board. Now, and from that you sort of think, well, okay. I mean, and they look complete in the pictures. And I could see the joysticks was a little bit dodgy on the front one. Couldn't really see the back one. So you know, I thought, well, okay, it may need some bit of joysticks and some buttons and stuff. But the monitors there, you know, the actual casings look good. The panels seem to be there. So I was really thinking, well, hopefully these are complete, but just no game board. When I did unwrap them, yeah, sure, they were dirty. And I looked them over and I thought, you know, the machine is in not bad quality. You know, the actual cabinets are okay. You know, they were really filthy, which was expected. That's what it said in the ad. But it looked relatively complete. So I was sort of hopeful as I started scanning it and doing a bit of a wash down to see what we had. So let's take a look. The Astro City first, and as you can see from the outside, you know, now we've got it in here in the theatre, it looks okay. I mean, I gave it a quick clean. It really does need another clean. There's no, you know, there's no cracks or anything up the top here. It's all complete. It's not like we're missing the marquee. I don't know if the speakers are in there, of course, until I get this thing apart, but it looks complete from that perspective. The main monitor, there's no obvious screen burn. You know, the control panel here, said before, I knew that it was missing buttons, and you can see here that, you know, the whole right hand side is missing. The left hand side, look at this. What's going on here? You can start to see a little bit of rust around here. We're missing a bolt here. And if we come down here, we can see that, look, there's a crack here. Now this is actually a whole separate part, so I mean you could get a replacement part here, but you know, that's probably a little bit expensive and maybe hard to find actually. Other than that, a little bit of a nick on the side there, another little small crack here. So the first thing I had a look at was the fact that it does have keys, which was quite amazing. A lot of these don't normally have keys, you have to end up drilling them out. And so the keys were there and they all work. These, you know, doors are all pretty sort of rough shape and really need to be painted. It even had the coin box, that's good, but we don't have a counter here, so that was suspicious when I first looked. I thought, well, hang on, why is that not there? If we only are just missing the game board, then surely, you know, these other little bits and pieces should be in there. And you have the coin mech is there, so that was reassuring. And before we look in the main entry there, let's go back up to the control panel, because the control panel was open already, and when I looked inside there's no wiring. So we have the quick connector points here, but there's no wiring, and there's also no lockdown bar. So straight away a few alarm bells going off here because we have some missing parts. So anyway, those things can be replaced. I mean, they're not a huge deal, I guess, but it's just a bit of a shame because I was expecting it to have the full wiring. So in here, and I'll dub over some other video with some lighting in here so that you can see what's going on. But in here we can see that there is a transformer on the floor. There was the monitor controls were hanging down, so I thought, well, that's a good sign because that means that there should be a monitor chassis in there, and there is, so that was good. But the main power supplies are missing, so that's not in here either, and of course all the game boards are not here, which we expected. Now, so anyway, look, I think it's a great machine. This one I want to turn into a vertical, and this will be for the shmups, or the shoot 'em ups, and I think it's going to be an awesome machine, and hopefully the monitor chassis is okay, because that's the thing that's, you know, could be a bit dodgy. And normally the tubes, you know, the tubes should be okay. As long as the neck's not broken on the back, you should have no problems with the tube. So there we go, Astro City. What's next? Well, go past our Chinese copy, which is not what I picked up. Of course, I picked up the real deal, and here it is here. So this is the Sega Blast City. Now the cool thing actually is now that I have the real Sega Blast, and of course I have the copy Chinese version, and so on another video I'll do a direct comparison between the two, just in case, because there is a big price difference when you see these things for sale, and there's a very big difference in terms of the quality and what you're getting on each machine. Well, the Blast City has got a few more problems. You know, the main shell is pretty good. There is some rust. All the keyholes were, well, a couple of them here. Well, this one's missing completely. This one up here was drilled out. There was no key for this one, although it wasn't locked anyway. Did have the coin mech there. A bit rusty down the bottom here, and that's going to need to be sorted out. Coin counter is actually there. No coin box. Not surprising, really. Again, we'll have a look inside there in a minute. Well, first we'll just go across the top of the cab. We have a few cracks, which is not good. And this doesn't have the typical Sega Blast marquee here. Instead, it's got this winner marquee, which is part of the, you know, when you've got two of these machines, you can set them up head to head and play them in a versus mode. Sega have a versus cabinet, which is like a Siamese twin version of this huge monstrous thing, because it's joined at the back and you can play against each other. But often operators will buy the single units like this one and hook them up together, still linked, and then when you win the game, comes up winner. Now it should actually have a whole section behind the back here with a display and a control board so that it counts the number of games that you've won against the other person. Of course, that's not there. It's all missing. So that was a bit of a shame, but at the same token, I wouldn't be using that anyway. The actual monitor itself looks great. There's certainly no, in terms of the tube, certainly no scratching. There's no burn-in. There was a lot of scratches though on the surround here. And if we look down at the control panel, well, first of all, it's a single control panel, so that's a bit of a bummer because I want it to be really a double play. But having a think about it, it's quite nice having a single set of controls and, you know, being centered in the middle of your cabinet when you play. I think that's a nice thing to have. So given that these are quite easy to swap in and out, I think I'll keep that and I'll repopulate it up properly, and then I can swap it in when I just want to play single player, and then swap it back in when I've got people over and want to play doubles. It comes with this little joystick, which is not falling over like the other one, and a few random buttons here. And this was locked, so I thought, oh no, how am I going to get into this? Because the lock is underneath, and of course you could drill that lock out, but that's always a pain in the butt. And in that position, I really have to put the cab on its back and drill it sideways, otherwise I'm going to get filings in my eye. And I read online actually that someone had a similar situation, and they had some holes here where the buttons were, and they poked through and poked the lever out the way to open the controls. Now I could have done that. I probably could have destroyed this button, for example, and gone through that way. But what I ended up doing is I noticed that this isn't actually properly bolted down like it should be. I was able to just get a screwdriver underneath that, poke it all the way through to the back, and then push the lever and unlock it that way. The third way is if you can get through the bottom piece here, you could, you know, get something in the back here and pop that back if you get stuck, and then that way you don't have to drill out that lock. So this probably hasn't been opened since the other guy got it, and luckily this one does have the wiring harness for the joysticks. You can also see we've got the panel here for the control of the monitor. It's obviously a volume knob, and we've got the on-off switch here as well. The cabinet sound, I've got to get rid of some of this rust on here, but guys, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Now, the big thing though, the big thing is that this particular cabinet has the tri-sync monitor, which means it's got a chassis in there that will support low resolution 15K, medium resolution 25K, and right up to 31K, which would be 640 by 480 if you ran a PC through it, which is pretty cool. It actually has a VGA connector. You can connect straight up to it with a PC, so that's awesome. Now that's if that chassis is there, and they're really expensive, hard to find. They're fabled in terms of their quality, so they often go missing. So when I took the back of this thing off, lo and behold, it was not there. And you know, I thought that was a bit misleading on the ad because it said like no game boards. It didn't say, you know, one of the machines doesn't have its chassis board, because I mean, that's pretty important. I did actually reach out to the seller and I said, hey, you know, your description was brief. You said sort of no game boards. You said it included monitors, but you know, there was no chassis. I said I wasn't gonna, you know, raise a dispute or anything, but if you wanted to do anything about it, you know, let us know. And I got no response. But listen, look, I got it for a good price. I can't really complain at all. And if I was local, this would have just been an absolute steal. So there you have it, guys. Those were the two new machines. What do you think? Pretty awesome. I like these candy cabs. I really do like the way that you can, you know, you sit down and you play sitting down. It's really comfortable. Beautiful big screens right in your face. They are a really good way to play, especially when people come over and want to try out your game. So highly recommend the candy cabs. Guys, that's it for today. Looking forward to the next video and seeing you guys then. Until then, take care and ciao for now.